Welcome to show number 213 of the Junkies Podcast. Today I'm chatting with Rashaad Washington, a union pipe welder and welding instructor up in Dallas, Georgia. I first had the chance to meet Rashad at an XCEL welding competition for high school and college students up in Dallas, Georgia back in October, where Bob Moffat and I volunteered as guest judges. Rashad is a great guy and understands the value of giving back and helping out the next generation of welders. We'll get right into the episode right after a quick word from the supporters of the show. Today's episode of the Junkies Podcast is brought to you by Everlast Welders. I get a lot of questions from welders of every skill level looking for a true multi-process machine that's actually affordable. My all-time favorite multi-process machine for the small business owner and home shop for the price is the Everlast Lightning MTS 255 and the MTS 275. This machine has it all. It's dual voltage, it can run stick, MIG solid wire, flux core both self-shielded and gas shielded, AC and DC TIG with high frequency, it's aluminum MIG compatible, and you can also add an external water cooler. This machine welds like a dream in all processes, and it has a power set feature to get you dialed in a hurry. Now you can weld every single process with just one machine, saving you space, time, and money. Check out the MTS machines at everlastwelders.com today, and be sure to get that free Nova foot pedal and TIG torch upgrade when you buy any machine that comes with a stock pedal by typing in ARC Junkies in the comment section at checkout. Everlast Welders. Weld mean, weld green. We're also brought to you by Rockmount Research and Alloys. You can check them out at rockmountwelding.com. And if you're not familiar with their products, check out episode 149 of the Junkies Podcast, where I chat with Pat Adams, who's a wealth of knowledge on maintenance welding. Rockmount makes the electrodes and wires for the real world. After the equipment's left the manufacturer and it's stalled in the factory or it breaks down in the field, Rockmount has the electrodes to get you back up and running. We all know that downtime costs more money than maintenance, so get the job done right the first time, every time with Rockmount Welding. For more information on their products, head on over to rockmountwelding.com or click on the link in the show notes tab. And don't forget, you can now buy Rockmount welding rods and wires right through MSC Direct and get them shipped free right to your door. Rockmount designs electrodes to weld stronger and last longer. We're also brought to you by Lincoln Electric, the welding experts. Lincoln Electric is my go-to for all my heavy-duty industrial welding applications. Their power wave machines with advanced waveforms are designed and built for heavy-duty welding applications. They have a waveform for every application and alloy, whether it's STT for open root pipe and plate, short circuit for thin gauge material, precision pulse and smart pulse for out of position welding, rapid arc or rapid X for production welding, or any of their other advanced waveforms, they've got you covered. One of the coolest things about these advanced processing machines is that they're completely upgradable, and unlike other companies with upgradable software, the Lincoln updates are free. That's right, anytime Lincoln releases an update, you can download it from their PowerWave Manager site and upload it right to your machine, giving you access to the latest and greatest technology absolutely free. And right now, listeners of the Junkies Podcast can save big on welding equipment, gear, and accessories. Just go to store.lincolnelectric.com and use code word ARCJunkies to get 20% off on all gear and accessories, or use ARCJunkies10 when you buy any Lincoln Electric equipment and get 10% off your order now through the end of December 2022. That's store.lincolnelectric.com. All right, now it's time for an event announcement. The Kentucky Welding Institute High School Senior Welding Contest is going to be held on April 23rd, and over $100,000 in scholarships and other prizes are going to be handed out. There's going to be special guest appearances by Stephanie Hoffman from Underground Metalworks, Jacob Schofield from Schofield Welding, Ray Ripple, John Weslow, the Junkies Podcast, and many more, along with sponsors and vendors to include respected brands like Up and Smoke Welding Apparel, Outlaw Leather, Aluma-Reel, Heavy Hitter TIG Rigs, and many more. First place in the competition is going to walk away with a fully restored 1967 Lincoln Electric Classic Red Face and a pile of other prizes, while second and third win their respective choice of Lincoln or Miller inverter welding machines. The contest is going to consist of a 2G and 3G with backing weld test with an 1/8" 7018 electrode. Coupons are going to be cut and bent to determine the winner. There's also going to be an oxy-fuel cutting competition with prizes. Last year's event had over 100 competitors competing from 17 different states, and this year's already shaping up to be bigger than that. This event's going to kick off Friday evening with a casual meetup full of food, games, live music, and a chance to check out the facility, meet up with welding influencers, chat with the KWI staff, and simply relax before Saturday's contest. So if you think you've got what it takes and you want to test your welds against the best in the nation, go ahead and sign up. You can register at www.kwi.us and find out more details on any of the social media platforms or by calling 606-849-WELD. All right, you know what time it is. Fire up your machine, drop your hood, and turn me up 5.
This is Dick Lexia, and you're listening to the Junkies Jodcast.
listening to the Arc Junkies Podcast, helping you make every weld better than your last with each episode. And now your host, Jason Becker.
All right, Rashaad Washington. Bob Moffat says you're a hell of a TIG hand, man.
Yeah. Man, it's crazy because, like, when I started welding, I would never thought that I would catch on to it. You know what I mean? But, like, welding just came quick with me. I just love stainless. Stainless TIG pipe is what I got into pipe welding about. Mm-hmm. It was a guy, Nate. He taught me everything I know about stainless.
Okay.
Nathan Osborne. Yep.
Nice.
And it's been the cool. That's my thing is TIG. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah, I went up to that XCEL mentoring welding competition up there in Dallas, Georgia, and Bob and I were both, I guess, like guest judges for the competition. And he's like, "Hey man, you know Rashaad Washington?" I was like, "No, I haven't heard of him yet." And then I pulled up your profile and I was like, "Okay, damn, like this guy's got some skills." And he said, you guys have been going back and forth. He's like, "You need to get him on the podcast." And then we talked about it, in our episode that we recorded up there. And then I got the chance to meet you up in Dallas, Georgia, which is like, that's a beautiful piece of country up there, man. That's a nice area. Here, is that where you're from? Is Dallas?
No, actually, I'm from North Carolina.
Okay.
But me and my mom, we moved here back in 2002.
I got you.
And we were in Ackworth because I went to North Cobb High School. And then I moved to Dallas, so I brought my house out in Dallas. Mm-hmm. And then so I moved mine with me. And then I love it out here in Dallas, man.
I got
It's so peaceful.
Right.
Man, it's quiet. I love it at nighttime out here.
Yeah. No, I mean, it seemed like a decent area. I love going up to Georgia. I just got back 2 weeks ago from Atlanta, Georgia. I went up there right outside of Atlanta, but I guess it's still considered Atlanta. But it was I did a welding procedure development class with Lincoln Electric, so I was right back up there. But I like jumping up to Atlanta or Georgia every once in a while. It's only like 6.5 hours from the house, so it's not too bad. And I think XCEL's doing another welding competition, same area. I got to pull the dates back up again, but they're doing another one. That was a pretty cool event.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Cause like the cool thing about it is that like, the kids get to weld,
Yeah.
It was a 12-year-old out there, man. He was running 532 rods like a pro. I'm talking about tight arc the whole way.
Right.
Tight arc the whole way, man. And it's just good to give back, you know what I mean? Cause that's the main thing for welding. Mm-hmm. It's just pass on the knowledge that you learn,
Yeah. And
especially in like to somebody who like wants to learn this, you know what I mean? Because it's hard.
Yeah.
It ain't easy.
Right.
Like we make it look easy, but it's hard. Trust me.
That's what a lot of people are like. Oh yeah, I'm a welder. Oh yeah, what kind of welding you do? It's like, well, I got like this little flux core machine at my. No,
exactly.
we're not on the same level, bro. Yeah.
Exactly.
I can rewire an extension cord, but I don't call myself an electrician. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So now you went to Chattahoochee Technical College, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because I got to meet one of the instructors up there, Jim Thomas. Super cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed, it seems like you guys are like a really tight-knit group of, students, because he had, current students that were competing in the competition, but then he also had like a lot of previous students that just came out there for support. So it seems like it's a pretty tight-knit program.
Man, it is, man. Like, because it's only 2 schools that actually teach welding at Chattahoochee, they are so far out. So it's like, we are like real close to our kids, because like we get to spend like one-on-one time with them a lot, and especially the ones that like want to learn, because you always get those ones that want everything easy.
Yeah.
And so the ones that want to learn and they come in there like I did with my back against the wall, and like I was just in the booth. That's how I always say, I wish I recorded like the last like 5 years of my life, because once I got into welding, it just changed everything.
Yeah.
It just came from us just being so close. It's just real cool, to give back to the dudes.
So what was it what prompted you to get into welding? Like originally, like to attend as a student?
Man, so I'm originally into cars, you know, so like people know me as a car guy. And so I had brought a header from my car, and I was like, I can make this, you know? And then I was working for a buddy, and so I'm just Googling, and I was like, you can go to school for welding. And I originally went to Georgia Highlands. Mm-hmm. And so I have an associate's degree. And so I was like, let me just see what Chattahoochee talking about, you know? And I literally paid like $25, and I got into like the program with the application, and it's been head over heels because I had no other outlet on like how to get to welding, you know, because this was completely new to me.
Right.
You know, and to my family, you know, because my family's in cars. So I never knew anything about welding. Never even seen welding, heard of welding. And then I saw a pipeline truck. And bro, like that got me hooked to the pipeline. And then like everything I started doing was just Googling the YouTube.
So they've got a pretty comprehensive program there at the Chattahoochee College, because I got to meet one of the instructors, like I was saying, Jim, and he handed me one of his books that like, it's essentially a textbook that he and I guess, you know, his staff created. And it's a very comprehensive book. And I mean, there's all kinds of different formulas in there. And that kind of inspired me when I got back to Florida. I was like, man, I have all this information, you know, stuck on a thumb drive that I present to the students, you know, here and there. And I'll give the students copies, you know, after class, you know, when we do get done with the lecture, they'll come up and I'll load up their thumb drive with whatever we were talking about that day. But I was like, man, I really need to put this into a book. So like Jim kind of inspired me to make a book out of all this information that I have and pass it out to all the students. So that's one thing I've been working on, you know, since I got back. And I think I'm like 300 pages deep in this thing, and it's still not where I want it. But, you know, it seemed like, because there's so many different schools out there, especially whether it's for-profit or non-profit, that they're just, you know, they're not there for the students. You know, they're there for either, you know, trying to turn a profit off of it or whatever. Or, you know, like you get the instructors that they really don't know what they're doing. But, you know, the application was open, or, you know, they applied for it. They somehow stumbled into it, and they really didn't, you know, they don't meet the criteria to be able to teach welding, you know, because a lot of them don't know it themselves. And, but it seemed like Jim and his crew, I mean, like they know what the hell they're doing. You know, it's pretty comprehensive.
Oh yeah, man. We all have our specialties, you know. Jim's our leader, you know what I mean? Like Jim the head honcho, you know.
Yeah. He's a trip too, man. He's a funny dude.
Well, I'm trying to tell you, man, Jim is crazy.
He's got a nickname for every single one of his students. And the funny thing is he's telling me about these kids and like telling me their nicknames, and then all of a sudden, like a couple minutes later, some kid walks up and I'm like, I bet this is the man that Jim was just talking about, because like the nicknames just fit to a T, man. But yeah, he's a funny individual, and he's very, very well educated, well versed in, you know, the various arts of, you know, the different welding processes.
Oh yeah, you know, like Jim's a trip, man. But like, you know, I just tell people all the time, is like someone like that, you know, they got 30 years of experience, you know, like you're not going to find that in a book. You know what I mean? So it's like whenever someone's like that, like willing to give you knowledge and, you know what I mean, time at least, it's like, man, I soak up all that stuff like a sponge.
Yep, just shut up and listen. I was talking to one of our nighttime students this evening. So he got hired. He's still in class right now, but he got hired from a local fab shop, and he starts Wednesday. So like tomorrow is his first day on the job, and I'm like, okay, here's what you do. And he, you know, like he says, you know, most of the people that are working there are like 40 years old. I was like, here's what you do. You walk in there, make sure you got everything you need, take all your gear with you and stuff. Just walk in there and shut up. Just shut your mouth and listen. Listen, watch, and keep your mouth shut. And treat the old dude in the corner nice, because they're going to pass off, you know, because he doesn't know nothing right now. I mean, like he knows how to weld, but as far as like when it comes to the practical application of, you know, where am I going to put all this information and these skills that I'm learning in the program, where am I going to put that to practical use? That old timer over there in the corner, or, you know, some of them older people, they're going to show you exactly how to do a lot of this stuff. And if you walk in all cocky and, you know, like you know everything, they ain't going to tell you a damn thing. But if you walk in there and just, be real quiet and pay attention to what what they're going to teach you, you're going to go really far. Because I've worked with some old people, and they'll sit there and watch you struggle if they don't like you. But if you're always open to learning and keeping your mouth shut and listening and paying attention, they're going to teach you everything that they know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and man, like I always take to the older guys,
Mm-hmm.
and I always say that my generation is the last kind of generation to respect the elders.
Yeah,
cause,
that's for damn sure.
Boy, man, nowadays, boy, it's crazy.
So now,
it's crazy.
You ended up joining the local pipe fitters union, right?
Yeah, local 72.
Okay. What prompted you to get? I mean, you like stainless, but I mean, what prompted you to join the pipe fitters union?
So I got laid off from my stainless job, and I think I was there for a couple years. But I was working with a friend's father. He was a mobile truck mechanic, but he has his own shop now, Jeff, and he's from up north, and he's like, "Yo, man, I want to see you go union, man. Go union." Man, golly. And I was like, union, all that. And so while I was at Shaw Stainless, I actually talked to another old timer, Mr. David Emmert, and he was completely non-union.
Mm-hmm.
So I was already working non-union. I really wasn't even thinking about non-union, so I was learning non-union. I mean, welding,
Right.
It wasn't union or non-union, you know what I mean? I was welding.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was with Jeff, and he was like, "Yo, man, I want to see you, go union." So I wound up going down to the school. I took my eval test, and I signed up to the hall that Tuesday. I took my cert test that Wednesday, and I was working the next Wednesday.
Okay.
When my certs got back. And so I was in the union after that.
Right. So now you said what's because we were talking, we tried to do this episode last week, but you had apprenticeship school. So what type of stuff are you learning right now in your apprenticeship school?
Right now I'm a 4th year apprentice. We are in pipe layout.
Okay.
Advanced pipe layouts, offsets, rolling offsets, and laying out, the stuff on the floor, like old school, just popping the chalk stuff.
Okay. So what did they have you start in, as a first year apprentice? What was the first class you had to go in and do?
I was actually because I have previous years in pipe welding, on my eval test, I got 3 years credit. I came in as a 3rd year apprentice, and I went straight into basic math, type stuff. And then we moved into, I think, refrigeration, learning more about the cooling towers and stuff like that, and learn about all the whole building, the water in the building, basically. Man, it was so much stuff to even take on because I was so still new to it, even though I could weld my ass off,
Just didn't know what to do with it. I can weld this shit out, but I don't know what the hell.
Boy, I was like, if you give me some stainless, I'll weld that thing out. But all this other stuff, that's what, Nate did all that stuff.
Mm.
Nate would always have all my measurements and my cuts and lengths. He'll give me a sheet of paper and be like, here's all your cuts, here's all your parts. They're just sticker parts, cut your pipe, fit them up, weld it out, Now I'm learning how to do all this other stuff. I'm like, it's so much information. And then, on the top of you're back in school,
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Golly,
that's the hard part. How old are you?
I'm 32.
Okay, yeah, so 32, back in school, and it's damn,
bro.
yeah. It's hard. Like learning is much more difficult now. You got all this other shit going on in your head. It's like,
golly, man.
Once you graduate high school, you're like, okay, I'm done in learning mode. I'm just gonna do stuff. And like you still don't know jack shit. As an 18-year-old. But I think that's one of the cool things. Like, and I know there's like this huge divide, and it's like a big controversial topic, union versus non-union. And like I've just like you, I've worked both sides of that coin. But one thing I really enjoyed about the union, or one thing I really admire about the union, is like I had to go to classes. So when I did, non-union structural steel ironwork, there wasn't no classes. It was just like show up, do your job, go home. That was it. But like with going through the union, they were like, okay, you're going to be out on a job site. You need to know how to like conduct yourself accordingly and be safe, to protect yourself and others. So we're going to put you through an OSHA 10 class, and then you're going to go through, structural, or you're going to go through blueprints, because you need to know, what all this stuff is, and put you through, we had a structural class and a rigging class, because, everything that's going up in the air, we got to pick it up safely. So here's how to conduct a rigging plan, and, here's how you, pick, different sections up, and here's how you balance a load correctly, and here's how you prevent point loading a crane, and here's all the calculations you need to know, because if you're going to pick something up, you have to know the appropriate rigging to use. And it's like, damn, this is like, it's a lot of information. Like, when I was working non-union, it's just like, hey, go grab the choker out of the trailer. Let's rig this thing up and pick it up. Like, there was no safety factor. Like, I don't know how much this thing weighs. I don't know if we're going to be able to pick it up safely. It's just like, do it. But with the union, that's one thing I really, I thought that was kind of cool, was like, I have to go through all these classes, and then I get certifications. So as I'm going, I got certified for rigging and signalman. I got my certified welding for D1.5 for 1-inch unlimited 3 and 4G. For shielded metal arc welding, I got an OSHA 10 card out of it. Got my OSHA 30. So I mean, I do like the fact that they invest all that time in training into their employees or their people. Whereas a lot of non-union companies, they don't do a lot of training.
I know, man. We actually have a rigging course class at the school. My foreman, he just actually got his rigging, and he was like, boy, that test is hard.
Yeah, it's a difficult test.
He was like, boy, that test is hard. I've never been on a job where we rigging stuff, like 15 floors high. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And so I'm actually at a job now doing that. But it's a whole new ball game, man. It's just a whole new ball game.
It definitely is. We had so in addition to taking the class and passing the test, we had to log in 800 hours, and you got to get it signed off. But we had to log in 800 hours, of crane time. Like working with a crane, rigging stuff up, signaling, like all that stuff had to be compiled. You got to get it signed off by a journeyman or your supervisor that you actually perform that work on the job site. Everything that we did, though, I mean, there was clock hours attached to it, but then there was also time in the field attached to it. So I thought I was like, damn, that's a good way to do it, because you're investing in your people, you're making them certifiable, you're going to be able to bid on the jobs because you got all your ducks are in a row, all your people are trained, it's a safer working environment. So I mean, like, I dug that, but I also get, I get the other side of the coin too, working non-union. So, I mean, it's a balance, and it's union and non-union. It's not for everybody. And some people are limited to the fact of, what type of work's in their area. So if you got somebody like up in Chicago or New York or something where like the union's really heavy, you don't really have the option to go work for a small mom and pop shop. It's just not there. And then when you come down below south of the Mason-Dixon line, it's like you got your choice. You can go union or non-union. And you're like, okay, which path do I go? Well, which one at the end of the day is going to suit you the best? Which one are you going to be able to get the benefits that you need, the amount of money, and the security you need for job security? You got to weigh it out for yourself. And I don't knock one over the other. I got a lot of buddies that are still in the union. I got a lot of buddies that are non-union, and okay, cool. You're able, at the end of the day, are you able to put food on your table and put a roof over your head and all that stuff? Good, man. Awesome. Hey, you know what? You're kicking ass in life. More power to you. You shouldn't, nobody should knock somebody for, union or non-union. I never understood the big controversy between the two.
Yeah, I know. It is, and it's funny, man, because, it's funny because I've worked with kind of like that, this has been like my first like, time even like kind of dealing with this, where, because I have a out of town contractor, their union, how they do it their way, how we do it our way.
Right.
It's like funny at the end of the day because you just look back and you look at them. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. At the end of the day, I don't really care. Like I'm union because of I want certain things out of my life. You know what I mean? I work next to you. I weld with you. You know what I mean? I want to go home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? 5 o'clock, 5:30 come around. Come on, bro. Hop on the buggy, bro. Let's ride out. I don't get involved in that, And that's how I kind of
it's best not
take
to.
on my life. Man, that's kind of how I just take on life. I don't want to get involved with anything that's going to unfocus me. I just stay focused on my prize. And I just keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So how much longer till you, I imagine it's the same with the pipe fitters as it is with the iron workers, but like how much longer till you top out?
5 years.
Okay.
5 years. So we got to do 5 years. What apprenticeship program is 5 years.
Okay.
And then you take a turnout test and then you'll be a journeyman after you pass your turnout test.
Okay, so they call it turning out in pipe fitters. So with the iron workers, we call it topping out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so your turnout test is after your 5th year. I mean, it's your 5th year. So I got this year, and so I think we almost over now. I mean, we're not always over, but it's kind of like, it's probably like the start, the beginning of the semester. You know what I mean? Moved over 5th year, and just trying to take that head on, you know what I mean? All these blows that I'm going to take.
That's a lot. So like, what's your schedule for your apprenticeship?
Yeah. My apprenticeship schedule is Monday and Wednesday.
Okay.
I had to get it moved because I started back teaching and I used to teach 2 classes. Now I only teach 1 class. And so I teach Thursday at Chattahoochee at nighttime. And then I get back up and I got to be back to work at, 7 o'clock in the morning.
You're a busy man. You
drive an hour.
You sound like you sound very similar to my story back in the day. Like when I got into the punk school or apprenticeship program, like, I mean, you're going to punk school. Did they call it punk school with pipe fitters?
No, I call it apprenticeship school.
Okay. Yeah. For like iron workers, they call it punk school. But, so you got apprenticeship program going on. I mean, you're working during the day, you're getting your on the job training and all that. And then you're teaching on Thursdays.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a schedule.
And man, like Tuesdays are my only days to actually, do anything that's like pushed away or whatever, you know what I mean?
Kick back, relax.
Or forgotten. Yeah, you're not going to come home and chill out for a little bit, go outside with the dog for a little bit, just chill out. Trying to wake up in the morning, got to drive an hour away.
Yeah. That's the hard part because work's never close. And I try to explain that to people all the time, like, especially like students coming through the program, they're like, oh yeah, that job's too far. And I was like, what do you mean it's too far? It's 35 minutes away from your house. Yeah, that's too far. And it's like, no, man, I ain't had a job closer than 45 minutes to my house since 2005. Like the closest I ever got to, like work was when I was in the military and I was living in the barracks. It's like, that's after that, it's 45 minutes, an hour, I've driven 2 hours a day to get to work.
Yeah. See, I was working at a powerhouse that was like 30 minutes down the street. Well, it was off in the country, so for one, you don't got to deal with traffic. And then, 2, me out there in the powerhouse, like the little 2-lane road, 1 light maybe, and then now you in traffic, in the morning it take you 45, 50 minutes, coasting. In the afternoon, hour and a half.
Yeah.
40 minutes.
You do a
just
lot of work in
sitting
Atlanta at
traffic.
all?
I actually started working back in Atlanta after I caught the last layoff at the powerhouse.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah. So
They got
that
some
was
horrible
back.
traffic in Atlanta, man. Like I had to go. I went to Fab Tech one year, and I was like, oh yeah, like I'll get up at 6:30, have breakfast, and I'll leave here about 7. I'll roll in. Like,
you're right.
yeah, I was like
Nope.
the facility's like 20 minutes down the road. I'll be good, man. I left at like 7
Nope.
o'clock. Dude, it took me 2.5 hours to drive 8 miles. I was like, holy shit, I should have brought my bicycle.
Yep.
This is ridiculous.
Yep. It's stupid.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
I thought Orlando traffic was bad. Nah, Atlanta, you got us beat, man.
Man. And then, like, people can't drive, and please don't let it rain. Oh my gosh.
That sounds like Florida.
That's like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, just because it's raining.
Yeah, people can't drive in the rain, man. They all come down from up north, man. They can drive in snow, but they can't drive in rain worth of shit.
I know. But in the snow, we don't move.
Mm-hmm. So what type of work are you doing? Like when you go out on these, like the powerhouse, for instance, like what are you putting in? You doing like chilled water lines? You doing, what type of work?
Yeah. So the last one, I think it was like ammonia line or something like that.
Oh, that's lovely.
Or like they said, you know what I mean? But half the times, I don't even know, and it goes back to just, welding, it's like, cause like I was so gun ho for welding, and I don't care what it is, cause every weld, that I do, I always try to make it perfect. You know what I mean? So I don't care what you put in this shit. You can put peanut butter, water.
There you go.
You know what I mean? I don't care what you put in here.
So you do mostly stainless, or are you doing like a mix of stainless and carbon, or are you doing some more exotic type stuff? This
is actually the first job that I'm not welding stainless. I'm doing straight old carbon pipe stick welding.
Okay.
60-10 and 70-18. That straight old 21 cert. And it's because like I've never was a stick welder. You know what I mean? Like yeah, I know how to stick weld. I can stick weld to get me by. You know what I mean? But I was a TIG hand. And but it's cool to get my my stick skills up to my TIG skills.
Yeah.
So it's, man, my shirt's all getting burnt.
Right.
Coming out with scores,
That's the thing too, is like you got to find out what areas like you got to improve in, and the best way to the best way to get better is to do it. And like I say all the time, like make every weld better than your last. I was thinking about it on the way home, like back when I was doing splicing beams and stuff like that. And I'd put a weld in and be like, okay, what can I do better on the next one? How can I make that look better on the next pass? And you just keep building that skills. Next thing you know, man, you can be a golden arm on friggin' stick, and then TIG. I mean, you're still an apprentice, so you got time. Yeah.
So my teacher, he would always say, there are no such thing as a perfect weld, because he wouldn't give you no 100, and I would always say, well, I'm going to get damn near close.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I'm just a perfectionist. I used to be a Honda technician, and that was the same thing. Like, everything was down to like, to a T because it was repetition.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with welding, it's just repetition. And the only way that you can learn how to do it is to just do it, and fuck up,
Yeah.
Straight up, know what not to do, and listen to them old guys. Anybody welding, I will always go look at Nate Weld. Anytime that, like my first week, I used to drill holes and bevel pipe. My first week, drill holes, bevel pipe, the whole thing. But I used to do that shit so quick so I can go watch him weld, and just to see his movements. I'm going to look at him weld, how he holds a rod. I mean, everything plays a role to it.
Body position, checking out, like how's he holding his hand?
Oh, yeah.
Like where's he putting his head?
Yeah.
Like all that stuff plays a key.
Exactly. ABC.
Yeah.
Always be comfortable.
Exactly. I've learned a lot of stuff, like just from other, just being on the job site, watching other trades do their job, and like be able to, like, and I think, like anybody that's in skilled trades, whether you're carpenter, plumber, welder, electrician, whatever, if you're on the job site, you're watching somebody and you go on enough job sites, you're going to pick up on how to do that stuff. Like I've done a lot of like at home wiring, like switching out receptacles, light switches, wiring up welding machines, same thing, like plumbing, like I know how to snake a drain and all this stuff just because I've watched other people on a job site, how do they do that? If I'm sitting back, it's, break time or whatever, I'm kicked back, eating my yogurt or, whatever. I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm like watching somebody else, like, how do they do that? What are they doing with their job? What makes that so special? How are they, putting that stuff together? And you start learning this stuff kind of by proxy, just by watching people. And it's really cool to pick up on that stuff and learn new skills just by sitting back, keeping your mouth shut and your eyes open.
Man, like, and then, cause I'm a visual learner, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's like, I'm gonna ask you like, hey, why'd you hold your rod angle that way? Like, I mean, I'm gonna ask you those little detailed questions, you know what I mean? So it may be a lot of them, but it is what it is, I like to learn, you know what I mean? So, that's why I'm fitting. If you give me my parts on the pallet, I can fit them and I can weld them. Yeah. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's a part of welding, but doing the fitting and knowing that you got to go from this offset, and trying to get these 2 pipes, and to do it in a stand first, then you can put it in position, so you don't have four position welds, you know what I mean? And it just makes the job of welding a lot more easier to learn that fit and stuff, so that's why I've been trying to learn it, but it's so like, like we know them guys and they spread out, measurements like back to back to back. You're like, whoa, hold on. Yeah. Where's my pen and paper at? You know what I mean? I got to write mine down, but like my foreman, Calvin, he been doing it for 30 years, and I can see the frustration in his eyes sometimes, but it's like, bro, I don't know, you know what I mean? And it's like, he's so used to it, and, but I'm learning, So now, at least I'm trying.
Right. So now, as an instructor, when you get somebody in, that's a student or whatever, like what's like the first couple of steps when you teach somebody how to lay in, like a root pass on pipe?
It's all about the prep work, pipe, and anything to do with welding pipe, man. It's gonna be all about the prep work, and sometimes, in the field, you can't get that perfect gap. But whenever you're in the, school, whatever, it's all about prep work, so you have your good, I call it a chubby 332, land. And I get a tight gap, I get the 32 gap, 80 amps, man, 810, 60, 10, man, just go up and whip, whip and hold, stroke it, stroke, dig and dig, dig, fill. If you're on chill water, and no downhill. And that's what I had called Bob about, because yet again, you talking about Bob Moffat, some downhill welding. He's the man gonna know it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's the one that kicked off that whole no look challenge and all that stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And he's a lefty, and so
I mean, we're not going to fault him for that, though.
Yeah. Oh, I know, right? But Bob thinks I'm a lefty because, secret's coming out. So Bob thinks I'm a lefty. That's how we kind of started talking because he said something about lefty. I'm like, yo, this Bob Moffat just messaged me. Like, I ain't gonna tell him I'm a righty. You know what I mean?
The secret's out now.
I know, right? And so I guess whenever you put your phone up the video or whatever, it did flip flops or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, it'll do like a mirror image.
Yeah, exactly. So sorry, Bob. I'm a righty.
No, Bob's a trip, man. I like talking to Bob. We'll chat every once in a while.
Oh yeah, and I ain't called him in a minute, so.
Yeah, you better get on that, man. All right, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. This segment of the Arc Junkies podcast is brought to you by Strong Hand Tools, makers of heavy-duty welding tables, toggle clamps, magnets, and fabrication tools. Strong Hand is a big supporter of education. If you're a welding student and you want to register your school for a free gift pack, head on over to stronghandtools.com/ArcJunkies and register your school, and Strong Hand's going to send you a starter pack full of all kinds of goodies. Now let's get back into the show. We're trying to get out to we're doing this big deal over. It's called Ink the Bay down here in Tampa, Florida, and it's a tattoo convention. And Travis Field, like, he's a rig welder out of Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, and he's coming down with like Legion 1775, and like we got Brian Legalio is going to be out there. I think Wally Welds is going to be there, but we're trying, and we're trying to get Bob Moffat out there as well. Just a bunch of people from the welding community. Hey, let's all go down to Tampa, and let's throw some welds down at this tattoo convention. Okay. It doesn't make any sense to me, but at the end of the day, it does, because like welders love tattoos, and a lot of people that do tattoos, they love welders. So I mean, there's a connection there. Like my buddy Stephanie Hoffman with Underground Metalworks. I mean, she paid for damn near every ink spot on her body through work. Just trading work for tattoo artists. Like she'll weld up an art piece for them, and then they'll put a tattoo on her. So we're trying to get Bob out to this tattoo convention down in Tampa. So I think it's going to be really cool. Just number one, to link up with Bob, because I always like, once again, keep your mouth shut and your ears open. I like to just sit back and listen to Bob like ramble on about the days gone by and how they used to do it back in the day and how they're doing things today, because he still stays pretty current with everything that's going on. But he's great, solid dude to talk to and like learn information from. So I'm looking forward to seeing him down there at Tampa.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man. Shit, man, Bob's a trip, man. He's a good guy to just ask questions, because I think the reason why I was able to go to the competition is because I had a cert test that morning. Yeah. And so the contractor did a no-call, no-show. So therefore, that was a waste of a Saturday, but it was about, so I was doing a 63, and it's a TIG route, and that's when so stainless welding and carbon welding are two different things in my eyes, but they see it as, like, hey, you'll be able to weld this right here, stainless wire. You can weld carbon stainless. No, them joints, those are like two different things.
Two different animals.
And so, yeah. And so I started doing more carbon pipe. A dude who I met out at the powerhouse named Jesse Davis, he would do that back feeding. And so I was like, shit, Bob's about to be in town. Like, let me call him. Yeah. I started asking him about how he does the back feed on the bottom, because I would do it and I would just be flat on the bottom, He would just say that it's the angle of your wire. Once I started keeping out that wire on that top edge of the pool, it kind of just gave it more crown, and it gave it more reinforcement.
So so how you do that? Are you keeping the wire like perpendicular to your torch the whole time, or parallel?
I rest that wire on that tack, and so I kind of keep the torch kind of like a push motion, I guess you would say. I just keep that that feed hand, just keep on feed, Okay. And just doing that freehand. But
so are you resting your TIG wire on the 12 o'clock position, or like, I guess it'd be 9 o'clock if you're coming in off the 6?
Well, if I'm in position off of a 5G, I'll just rest it off of like the 6 or the 3, Okay. just to get the bottom. But that's really the only time I really backfeed is really just to get the bottom started. And then once I get the bottom started and I start that cup, and I just walk it all the way up,
Okay, so you're actually kind of walking the cup on the root?
Well, yeah.
Or just wiggle,
yeah.
like my buddy, he calls it like a wiggle. Yeah.
Wiggle, yeah. So, and then so Jesse, he thought that, he's like, yo, man, you walk your route, but he freehand everything. But that's how Nate taught me. You know what I mean? The old keyhole dab, walking the route. And so that's how I've always done it. And yes, I do. I can freehand because I didn't know how to walk the cup. So I freehand everything, So, and then Nate would always say, like, that was good to know, because you don't always able to walk the cup.
Yeah.
But freehanding that bottom. And that bottom, once I get the bottom quarters done
from there.
Oh yeah, it's a wrap after that.
So now, how do you get comfortable when you're trying to freehand the bottom? Are you you propping up on the pipe itself?
I'm a big guy.
Yeah, as I know,
Yeah,
dude, you big enough to hunt bear with a stick. So how do you get comfortable down there? Like, are you propping up on the pipe, like rolling your hand around there, or like?
Yeah, it sucks. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't know, man. I just kind of just try to make myself in my head as small as I can, and I just prop that left arm up. But it really depends on the position of of the pipe. But because I'm so tall that I can just bend over, or just take a knee and I can just get it to like there. And then once I get up to about 5 o'clock, I can set it down and I'll start going to town.
Okay. Yeah. That's one thing I want to get more into. So like the instructor we just hired for our nighttime program, he's got 24 years in nuclear welding. He's a Navy certified welder. And, he's done worked in the shipyards, worked in, nuclear facilities, power plants, all this stuff. And, so it's damn, this is my time because when I first started with weld.com, I was really looking forward to welding with Bob because I was like, man, pipe is one area that I don't know anything about pipe and I want to learn to weld pipe because I got this plate stuff on lockdown. I can do fillets and grooves with the best of them. But I want to get into this pipe stuff because it looks really cool. It's sexy, just being able to put that weld or the wedding band in on the inside, slicking this pipe out, whether it's, TIG or stick. I want to learn this stuff, but I never got the opportunity to weld with Bob. So now I've got this new instructor and, we bought some pipe and everything. We're getting everything cut up and prepped. I want to go learn this stuff. I want to learn how to put in a slick ass TIG route or, 60-10, uphill and downhill. And then cap it off with 70-18, do combo welding, TIG route 70-18, fill and cap. I want to go through this stuff. I'm excited about welding once again because it's something new for me. It's outside of my wheelhouse. I want to learn all about it.
Yeah, man. And it's weird because it's for my business, I don't weld pipe, So it's whenever
you get a business
I do
too?
welds. Yeah.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. Every welder has a business.
Well, yeah.
I know. Come on, man. But I got a truck. They got a welder on it. I got the tools, and I can go out and weld. Mm-hmm. And I do aluminum welding. I do stainless, really anything. Really welding. But fabricating. But it's cool because I don't weld pipe, and then so I'll just start welding, just MIG welding and just squirt gunning it, because it's fast, and then I'll fall back and I'll miss welding, well, I just TIG welding, just pipe welding, but it's cool to just to make people's dreams come true,
So now have you had dealing with the squirt gun and everything, have you had a chance to run STT or RMD on some of this plate Or I'm sorry, on some of the pipe that you're doing?
Nope.
They're not teaching that at the hall?
So the rule of thumb is if you get three certs and 3 different processes, you get 5th year welding off. Okay. And so I got that 63 cert, but it was towards the end of the semester. But I haven't welded no pipe. I haven't MIG welded any pipe.
Okay.
We used to do it at Shaw Stainless, but it was in the flat position. It was on rollers.
Okay. 1G.
But yeah, just fill it up, and then they just go behind it and just grind it down.
Yeah. Because I noticed we did, when I was with weld.com, we did a video out with I want to say it was local 123 plumbers and pipe fitters, the pipe fitters union out there in Tampa. And they were just starting to introduce STT and RMD to their students because it's becoming more prominent on the different job sites because of just like the speed, the reliability. It's like easier to teach people. It works great for like pour fit ups and stuff like that. But I mean, like now you're taking a shop machine and I mean, they're literally picking them up with cranes and setting them up inside the powerhouses, instead of like stringing out a bunch of TIG lead and stick lead.
Yeah.
They're just running a power source up there now. So I thought, I was like, holy shit. And then, they put a tent around them because it's a gas shielded process. It's pretty neat stuff, man. You gotta check it out. If you ever get down here to Orlando, come by the school. I'll show you some STT. It's pretty damn slick.
Really? Yeah, man. I just always tigged and sticked it. Like just stick welded it. But really mainly just tigged it. I'm just now getting in the stick. But I'm just you know what I mean?
You're getting there.
Yeah. It's just like, MIG welding was fun because it's like that was my first job, as a MIG welder. And that's how I learned how to control the puddle. We'll just run that, I think it was an inner shield 045 wire. I used to run it hot, just whip it,
That's one thing I haven't done a whole lot of is flux core on open root. I want to try that.
Yeah.
I tried that. I tried it one day in the shop and I was like, nope. then I tried doing it with a ceramic backing and I was like, yep, screw that too. Throw a backing strip on there.
Yeah. I've always, really the only time I flux core is when I'm at school and that's when I'm teaching a MIG class,
I got you.
But, usually it's just slow stick, small horizontal, vertical.
So if you had like one piece of information or one thing you could share with either, like a student coming into a new program or an apprenticeship, or an apprentice coming in for his first year, what would that piece of information be?
Be hungry, be hungry and want, and like have the want to, because they don't come easy.
Yeah. Nothing in this industry comes easy. And that's why I like watching the students that come in and they know exactly what they want to do. They know why they're there. And then, you got to pry them out of the booth at the end of the day. It's like, hey man, it's time to go. We got to get out of here. And you're like, one more pass. All right, get after it, man. I love seeing that determination. And then they go off and do so many great things, when they get out of the program. It's really cool to watch that whole process.
Yeah, it is, man. Cause so like, that's why I still teach, so whenever those dudes, man, who like, you just taught them to learn how to weld and then, they get a job and they're just so excited that they're welding on the job like I was, what I mean? Like, I didn't say like, oh, I'm about to go to work, I was like, I'm about to go weld, and then obviously that changed, but yeah, man, like that's the satisfaction of teaching, it just passing on that know-how and them taking it, running with it, and, having their own business, you know, I mean, like rigged out, you know, I got one student, man, like he's rigged out, man, like doing his own thing, you know, and it's just cool to see him do it.
Yeah. It's always awesome to like watch where they end up or when they come back.
Yeah.
I got the same thing.
Yeah.
I got a student who took my program, finished it up, and then went down to Miami, got himself a truck, got himself a welding machine, got it all rigged out, did some work down there. I guess he's coming back up to Orlando. I'm supposed to have a call with him next week because he wants some advice or whatever. But I mean, he's out there kicking ass, man. Like, you know, fully rigged out, got his truck and everything. And it's really cool. And then one thing, like, definitely, because like this is something that you did that Saturday, whether you know it or not. You know, like you came back to hang out with the current students that were competing that day. Like you'll have students starting to come back and like mentoring or, you know, like do classroom talks, like bring them in and be like, hey, you know, this is so-and-so, he graduated 3 years ago. You know, he's going to come in and talk to the class. Like bring some of your former students back in to talk and motivate and inspire that next group that's coming through.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what it is, man. And so it's good that I went to Chattahoochee, you know, because I always start off the class whenever, you know, it's the first class. It's like, I was in your seat, you know, just a couple of years ago.
Right.
And now, so what happens? I'm teaching it. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so I think that kind of gets that bond with them, you know, and they kind of trust me more, you know. But I mean, it's cool to do it though.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a lot of fun teaching. You find that you're learning more now about welding as a teacher than you ever did as a student?
Yeah, well, I mean, because a lot of the stuff that's like, I guess it's like really giving them problems. You know, it's once they get the fit up issue thing down, like where they know like what size land works with what size heat, you know, like once they get that down, it's pretty self-explanatory after that. You know what I mean? Like just set them up with it one time, you know. So like usually I just let them just go, just let them fuck up. Yeah. You know, just let them, you know, they bring it back, man, like bullet holes about this in it, you know, like, you know, and Gonzo nose is out the back, you know, and I used to do that for about 2-3 weeks and just let them learn.
Yeah, you torturing these kids.
Oh, yeah. You know, and then I'll be like, I got done with, you know, with like messing up.
Yeah, you ready to listen now?
Yeah, exactly. You know, so I'm like I was saying, the fit up is a lot, you know.
I love that.
you know. And so it's like, I've already said it, you know. I'm like, yo, it's fit up. So you take them back and you show them how to bevel it, you know, show them how to put that land on it, show them when, you know, what land you like, fit it up, tack it up, weld it up. And it's like, see how simple that was now? Yeah. So then they go try it that way, and now it comes back. It's like, oh,
now they're getting it.
So now I'm seeing light bulb getting to go. You know what I mean? So now the light bulb starting to go off. You know, so that's really the pleasure, you know, and especially like when they want to learn. You know, because there's a lot of kids that's just man, just do it just because. Yeah. You know, I just do it just because. I just do it because my mom and maybe.
Yeah. Now that I'm doing like weld certifications all the time, that's like my biggest thing. It's like I can't train them, you know, like because if I certify them, if I'm doing the testing and stuff like that, I can't have anything to do with their training. But the cool thing is like they walk in there and I'm like, you know, they're freaking out and I'm like, what's up? And they're like, I'm nervous. It's a test. Okay, yeah, it's a test, but like you shouldn't treat your test welds any different than you treat your practice. Then you treat, you know, welding on a trailer or doing a repair or anything like this. And I had one kid, I was like, what's wrong? Like you seem like you kind of agitated. I seen him shaking. He's like, this weld counts for something. And I was like, I said, come here. And I brought the entire class over there and I said, tell everybody else what you just said. And he goes, well, this weld counts for something. I said, I want you guys to hear this and remember this because every weld that you do, it counts for something. Whether you're putting, whether you're doing a tie-in on an I-beam, you're welding up a piece of pipe, you're doing a test plate, you're practicing, all this stuff counts. Because at the end of the day, lives can be on the line. So you shouldn't treat a certification test any different than you do your practices or welding anything else out in life. Because, if you're going to put that weld in there, you expect that weld to be there forever. So do your best. And 80% of the work is going to be in the prep. And if you cut the corners on the prep, you can't expect that weld to be 100%.
To be 100%.
Yeah. So I like the fact that you let them, go and screw off, for a couple of weeks and be like, I done told you it's all in the fit up. It's all in the prep. And now then go back and bring them, show them again. Here's the prep work. Now try it. And once they start prepping it right, because I got kids, they go in there and like, they'll practice and, they'll stick stuff together and they don't take any of the mill scale off. They don't, clean up the bevel and they tack it all up and it just looks like a bag of smashed assholes and they try and weld on it and be like, what are you doing? They're like, oh, it don't matter. Just to practice. Fight like you train like you fight. Like if you're practicing for a cert test or, whatever you got going on, treat it the same as if it's, if that's the end all be all. And that'll separate a lot of them out right there.
I know, man. And to like bring it back to like being nervous, right? So I was taking my first cert test, right, for the UA. And I was laid off and it was like, yo, I need this, I just tested pad, And then so we're going to get our material and it's a dude, Thomas. Thomas is a teacher down at the school. And so he was like, hey man, I got $100 on you. And I'm like, bruh, like that's just like made me like boom, But I don't know, it's just like after you, after you get in that booth, man, and you just put your music in and you start just going with it, it just flows.
Yeah.
And shoot, there it was, And that's what welding, it's just being relaxed. That's what me knowing, with me learning welding, it was like, dang, like every move that you have to do, you have to be relaxed. It's like welding on the couch. Mm-hmm. That's what I say. Hey man, just like you watching TV at the couch, man, you welding on the couch, just chilling. And that's what that's the welding, man.
It's like you said earlier, ABC's of welding, man. Always be comfortable. And I write that. Man. I write that in every damn booth that I walk into. I was like, here, look, this is the ABC's of welding. Always be comfortable. My buddy, once again, like an old ass iron worker, my buddy Don Watson, like he taught me that, like ABCs, always be comfortable.
Yeah, always be comfortable, And so that's the one thing I do in the class. So if it's a stick welding class, y'all don't need no stools in here. You know what I mean? So I kick all the stools, and so I show them how I weld it. I bring it to the edge of the booth. I prop down on that knee. I get that arm, man. Like anytime where I prop that right knee, or it's up or down, whatever, I just show them how to get comfortable, because that's the problem. Like, like if you just watch them weld, like they just looked all tense, like they got the stinger all like torture choked, and they just look uncomfortable, and how you get comfortable, how you weld it, and it just flows with everything.
Yeah. You got to be comfortable with what you're doing, because if you're not comfortable, you're fighting the joint the entire way. And like I tell them all the time, like if you're not comfortable, you're straining, you're struggling. I'm going to be able to see that everywhere in your weld, because now your hand shaking, like you're going to be blowing through the back, you're not going to be tying in, you're not going to get adequate fusion, you're going to have undercut, nice, slow, smooth, steady travel. And if you can't do that, you're not comfortable. You're going to see it on the cap, or the ruler, whatever pass they're putting in there. You're going to be able to see that.
Yeah, and like sometimes you don't always be able to get that. You know what I mean? So it's like always do uncomfortable to comfortable.
Yep.
So if I'm in a fucked up position, and I'm like, all right, so I'm gonna start uncomfortable. and then finish comfortable. So then it just makes the weld just that much better, you know. If I can put it in the stand and roll that thing out, I'm about to do it.
Get it done.
You know, yeah, I'm about to get it done. You know, I'm gonna put some nice bevels on that thing, and I'm about to turn and burn. I told my supervisor, the more I'm under my hood, the less I talk to people, the happier I am. Like straight up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And he looked at me. He said, he was like, "I feel you."
Yeah.
And shoot, it just makes the day go by so much faster, you know.
Mm-hmm.
That's another thing, you know, like the whole pipe fitter and the welder, you know, because here in the South, they want you to be the fitter and the welder. Mm-hmm. You go up north, you have a fitter, and then you have a welder.
Yeah, and the welder cannot fit, and the fitter cannot weld.
Cannot fit.
Yeah.
Cannot fit.
You get a grievance filed against your ass.
That's what I'm saying. And it's like, and then like here it's like complete opposite.
Yeah, you got to do both. You know? We're gonna get our
They
money out
both.
of you.
Yeah, and it's like, man, like 90% of the time when I'm on the job, I'm gonna be welding. Mm-hmm. Like that's just point blank. That's the thing, you know. I don't understand. So it's like if I'm good at welding and I'm not good at fitting, why do I have to fit? You know, it just, you know, they always say it just makes you a better welder, you know, which is not lying, you know, because you're not in a position, you know. So if you knew where the pipe was and like the layout of things, you could have been like, all right, I want my time to be here, you know, not over there. So that's why I want to learn the fitting part about it. But other than that, man, I'm a welder, man. Yeah. It's just, that's what I love to do. It's a love of it. I just take pride in my work. I always wanted to be A1. I love welding, you know, so that's what I'd rather be doing all day with welding.
I feel you on that, man. Put your head down and just burn rod.
Go. Man, just go, man. It just you in your zone, man. You talking to yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah. You know, you talking to yourself, and it's just you and yourself, man.
You get to know yourself real well under that hood.
Hell yeah, man. You think about so much stuff under that hood, man. Mm-hmm. You know, it's a passion that, like, I had, you know, like I told you, you know, I had nothing to know about. Like, I knew nothing about it. And then I just fell into it, man. Like, I jumped in the welding with my hands behind my back. It just became a passion.
Mm-hmm. It's got that effect on you.
It's cool to know how to do it. It's cool to pass it on. I wouldn't change it for the world, man. It, like, changed my life, you know. It's been one hell of a ride and still going.
Oh, you ain't over yet, man.
Oh, nah. You know, so, like, I've worked at the powerhouses. I've worked in the fab shops. So now I'm at the new construction. And so it's my first time on, like, new construction. And it's whack. It is whack. I would rather work in, it is whack. I would rather work in a powerhouse, you know, with, like, you know, just, like, putting the lines in, you know, knowing your start to your finish. Mm-hmm. And in the new construction, it's like, first off, where y'all get these measurements from? Exactly. You know what I mean? Like, this building was not even here.
Yeah,
you know?
Then you go to put something up, and then, like, the drywallers, they already got their shit in the way. And the electrician's already got conduit ran right, you know, where you got to make your connections at. Yeah,
man,
I've been there.
So much stuff, you know. But and my dude Calvin, man, like, he was like, man, I just learned this stuff, man. Like, you know, like you have to know how to do everything, you know. Well, like, you should have experience in everything. Mm-hmm. And so that's what I'm doing with it, man. I'm just riding along with it, man. I'm like itching to go back to that joint, you know, to the powerhouse. But it's like I'm like, man, I gotta learn this shit.
You learn it all, man. Learn it all. It's gonna make you more valuable at the end of the day, too.
Yeah, so that's why I'm just riding this thing on out.
There you go. Well, hell, man, before we get out of here, why don't you go ahead and plug your social medias? Where can people find you on Instagram or wherever else you're at?
I have two. My personal one is _welding maniac. Is _welding_maniac. THA. And my business page is Slick Welding LLC, all one word, lowercase. Those are my two social medias. You know, I don't really, you know what I mean? I'm not into like the social media. Like, the only time I'm on Facebook is if I'm looking for something in the marketplace.
Well, I mean, you're 32, so that makes sense, man. You gotta be about my age before you get on the Facebook.
Yeah, bro. I'm like,
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
so like,
it's actually like too old of a crowd for me.
Yeah, you know. So I don't have a TikTok or none of that. You know, I mean, I just not into all that stuff.
You better
man.
off for it.
Yeah, you know. I try to just keep it strict to business and stuff like that, you know.
Cool, man. It's been a pleasure having you on the podcast. I really appreciate your time. I know we're recording this episode on a Tuesday. I know that's the one night of the week that you have off to kick back and relax and chill. So I'm gonna let you get back to it, brother.
Oh yeah, man. Appreciate it, man.
Oh, anytime.
I appreciate the time and everything, man.
We'll have to. Hopefully, we can get you down here to Florida, or I can get back up there to Georgia sometime soon.
I know. Straight up, man. Like, I would love to come down to Florida, you know. And actually, Bob was like, "Come on out to Arkansas." And I was like, "What? Hey, man, Bob Moffat want me to come out to Arkansas, man." And I just think, man, like, I'm always working.
You'll find the time.
Like, I've never took a vacation.
Take some vacation, go down to Arkansas, come down here to Florida,
man.
Or hell, just come down here during, I think it's March. I don't know what the hell is it? March 25th through the 27th. Hold on, let me check my calendar here. Yeah, March 25th through the 27th. Come down here to Ink the Bay. You'll be able to see Bob Moffat, Travis Fields, everybody.
Okay, that'd be pretty cool.
6 hours, bro. Come on down.
Yeah, I know. It
ain't that far. It's a weekend. You take a Friday off.
Yeah.
Come down here, hang out all day Saturday, and shoot back up on Sunday.
Yeah, man. I got to catch y'all out, man.
Okay, I'm going to hold you to it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. Be sure to tune in tomorrow for another episode of Just the Tip Tuesday. I want to thank you all, as always, for supporting the show and listening to the podcast. Don't forget to check out ArcJunkies.com to pick up your Arc Junkies hats, shirts, and hoodies. Be safe out there, and until next time, make every weld better than your last.